with another Friday 5 episode here on the Agent Survival Guide podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Ruppel, and if you are new to the podcast, welcome. It is great to have you here. On Fridays, we do our best to give you a rundown of the most important things agents should know about. Think of it as a weekly recap just for insurance agents. Sometimes we'll take a deep dive on one particular topic like we did in last week's episode, but usually we have 5 takeaways from the week that was to help you prepare for the week to come. And top of mind for all of us right now, the season that is quickly coming upon us, the annual enrollment period, or AEP, at number 5 this week. Our AEP countdown has officially begun. First, we have 25 days until October 1st, which marks the first day details for Medicare Advantage and Medicare Part D plans can be discussed with beneficiaries. And we have 39 days until October 15th, which marks the official beginning of AEP 2025, when applications can be submitted. For coverage year 2025, new programs put in place by the Inflation Reduction Act are forecasted to disrupt the Medicare Part D market. Conducting both portfolio and plan reviews is especially relevant this AEP. Go through your book of business to determine changes for the 2025 AEP. Which plans are going away? Which plans are expanding? Are there any provider disruptions in the markets you serve? What do the changes in the plans you represent look like? Take stock of the changes coming to each plan in your portfolio. Are there any plans you need to add to your portfolio? For plans with more sizable changes, make a list of clients in those plans. They should be your top priority for plan reviews between October 1st and October 14th. In September, Medicare clients received their annual Notice of Change, or ANOC letter, as we call them. The letter outlines changes to a Medicare beneficiary's coverage for the upcoming plan year, and that could be changes in network, premium, or other plan benefits. You want to make sure you know about those changes for each plan in your portfolio, so if you have a client with concerns, you are ready to troubleshoot their concerns and potentially recommend other options. Number 4. While we are on the subject of plans and their changes, just a reminder that for agents partnered with Ritter Insurance Marketing, that process is super simple. We have a feature called Contract Now that allows agents to essentially shop from our selection of over 120 competitive carriers. Add those carriers to your contracting cart for batch review and signing. Getting this feature turned on is as simple as having a conversation with one of our sales specialists. So if you don't already have Contract Now activated, but you're a Ritter agent, I would encourage you to talk to our team. We can help get that set up for you. If you're not registered, you will need to register with us and then have that conversation. But the good news is that registration is quick. It takes less than a minute, and then you can get chatting with your local sales specialist about Contract Now and all the other great tools and resources available to you from our FMO. Number 3. This one is for all of our iTunes and Apple Podcasts listeners out there. Apple recently launched Apple Podcasts on the web. While it might seem like an odd move for a company that has consistently gated their services, it's actually a move that brings the service more in line with other available everywhere podcast listening services. And when you look at the stats, well, then the move does start to make a little more sense. Apple Podcasts has been losing listening share since Spotify decided to enter the podcast space. YouTube has long been home to video podcasts, but with the recent sunset of Google Podcasts and the addition of podcast RSS feeds to YouTube Music, well, the divide between the three has continued to grow. According to a spring 2024 report from Cumulus Media and Signal Hill, Apple Podcasts ranks as the third most utilized podcast listening platform here in the United States. Coming in at number 2 with 21% utilization is Spotify. That is the app that I use for my podcast listening. And then at number 1 with 31% of US podcast listeners frequenting the app, YouTube. So Apple has some share to make up, and creating a better web-based version is one way to get back in the game. Previously, if a show was only available on Apple Podcasts, the listening options were limited to Apple products and a very wonky web adaptation. They weren't available on Android at all. But now, with the web-based version, Android users can use the web-based app. Couple of features I want to highlight because Apple could have brought over a light version of Apple Podcasts and called it a day. Instead, they included Apple account capabilities. So if you've got an Apple ID, you'll be able to sign in and see the shows you follow, see your subscriptions, and best of all, sync your playback progress with the app version. For those without an Apple ID, you won't be able to follow along with shows, but you will still be able to browse and listen. As far as browsing goes, the experience feels similar to iTunes. It just looks a little different, more pared down. They still include a selection of featured shows at the top of the page with the famed new and noteworthy section just below it. That is followed by a curated selection of episodes and podcasts by topic. There's a section for shows with new seasons, shows from popular apps, Apple Podcasts, and featured channels. The top charts also made their way into the web-based version of Apple Podcasts. Users can choose to view either top shows or top episodes, and then filter by category of the show or view the top episodes and shows overall in all categories. I would say that the web version is very similar to the iTunes experience. We're still scrolling from left to right, just with slightly bigger image cards and dark mode, which my twitching eye is 100% here for. As far as comparing the online version to the mobile version, I think the layout suits the web-based version well, and that is something that the Apple Podcasts app has struggled with. It's getting a little chaotic in there, something that is not exclusive to Apple. I think Spotify is getting a little chaotic as well. So it'll be interesting to see where we go from here, if any of those changes make their way over to the Apple Podcasts app. But overall, I think the web-based version is a clean and simple listening experience. So if you haven't tried it and you are an Apple Podcasts fan, give it a try. You'll find it online at podcasts.apple.com. And we will also have that link in the episode notes, as well as the link to our show on Apple Podcasts on the web. Number 2. 2 weeks ago, I mentioned the lack of Instagram updates. So naturally, we have more for you this week. The first one you might have noticed as you were scrolling through the photo dumps on your feed. Users can now post up to 20 photos in a carousel. 10 photos used to be the max, now it's 20. Second, for your Reels and Stories, Instagram has added new fonts, animations, and effects. Never thought too much about animations and effects beyond what I could post with a sticker, but the new fonts are a long time coming. Third, and perhaps most exciting for those of us who love adding stickers to our stories and reels, now we can add them to photos and carousels. Us millennials love a good collage. We love stickers. So get ready to see us attach stickers to all the things and then dump 20 of them into a post on Instagram. We're ready. I just hope you are. For the specifics on how to get started with those new features, make sure you visit the notes. We will be linking to quite a few helpful articles. And now, coming in at number 1 this week, the conference on everyone's mind at the moment, our Ritter Summits. Last week, we held our first round of Ritter Summit conferences in King of Prussia, Harrisburg, and Cleveland. For those of you who attended, I just want to say thank you for coming out. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you had a great time. I was in King of Prussia and Harrisburg, and so many of you stopped by to say hello, grab a t-shirt, ask questions. It was great getting to meet you and answer those questions, or at least point you in the right direction. Next week, we are holding the second round of summits. On Tuesday, September 10th, we are in Baltimore, Maryland. On Wednesday, September 11th, we are just outside of Princeton in New Jersey. And then on Thursday, September 12th, we are in Garden City, New York. If you are wondering what you can expect when you attend our summits, that is a wonderful question. You will get details on the 2025 Medicare Advantage and Part D carriers in your market, information on the plans and products they offer, as well as resources, tools, and technology to streamline your selling. Our keynote speaker at all 3 summits, Ritter Insurance Marketing CEO Craig Ritter, and he's got a lot to talk about this year with the disruptions coming to the industry. You'll hear his take and where he thinks agents should be focusing their attention this year. Always great to hear from Craig. We've got giveaways, raffles, and lots of booths in the expo room. That is where you'll find myself and the rest of our Ritter staff, waiting to answer your questions and help you get up to speed for this AEP. I will be handing out ASG Podcast t-shirts and stickers, so stop by, say hi, and if you've got a question you'd like us to answer here on the show, you will be able to ask that in person. Very excited about that. And there's still time to register for next week's summits. You'll find all the info you need in our episode notes. Also there, links to the other highlights mentioned here today, additional podcast episodes, blog posts, lots of good resources over in the notes, and not just with this episode, with every installment of our show. But that'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay healthy and stay safe out there, and we will see you next week. The Agent Survival Guide podcast is a production of Ritter Insurance Marketing, an integrity company. This episode was written and produced by me, Sarah Ruppel, script editing and fact check by Tina Lamoureux, podcast design by Urban Rivera, artwork by Vivian Zhao. Follow along with us wherever you like to listen.